Catus Maximus here, this time with a review and comparison of small precision screwdrivers, showing how they're not all created equally and how you will end up being better off getting a higher a professional grade set such as these rigids, or when you buy the small metal ones, there's actually some really high quality ones, as well as against some of the interchangeable tip precision screwdrivers. These are obviously commonly used for repairing eyeglasses, replacing watch batteries. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what would be considered the most common style of these that people have seen for decades now. Is this style here where they just have the ridged drivers. It's usually a 6-piece set. This is a off-brand. This would be a Mark I. This would be considered a more premium brand. Let's actually go ahead and compare what would make of this style of straight knurled metal handle ones difference between an import model and a premium model. Here we are. We have the Mark I on the right and then the import on the left. These would be sold as a similar size or be used for similar size screws, but there is a difference. There is more meat and a little more width on the Mark I. Also, you can see how the handle is a bit thicker and resultingly a bit heavier. So you get a little more torque. They're also just a little bit longer and a little easier to grasp. You can also feel that the knurling is not quite as good on the import as they would be on the domestic. So if you're going to buy some of these, they're still so cheap. It is nicer just to get a little bit of a more premium brand. All these types of drivers have a spinning handle, so when you hold them against the palm of your hand, you can maintain pressure while twisting the screw in and out. Let's go and take a look at some others. What we have here is some very common Stanleys. These things have showed up pretty much at every type of store. They're both made by the same manufacturer, just styled differently. And here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the largest ones in both of these cases. One thing I was going to mention on this SE set is it's kind of innovative because the case slides up and then flips over like that. And I did appreciate that. I wish manufacturers would spend a little more time on innovative packaging like that, because it's easy to deal with, and because it has a long slider, it seems to hold on pretty well. It doesn't want to pop open when you drop it. But if we compare these SEs against the Stanleys here, we can actually see that they are both, it would be hard to believe that these weren't made by the same manufacturer. Quite frankly, I believe they have been made by the same manufacturer. You can see where they just put the word Stanley there, where they didn't print anything here. What I also find amusing is even more evidence is that on the right hand side of the logo you can see the little square, but on the left there isn't much of one. That little square exists here on the ones that just had a blank. And of course the torpedo shape, where they made them a little differently. What's kind of funny is I like these raised portions on the even cheaper than Stanley ones, because you get a little more grip than just this rubberized section here. And we'll take a close look at the tips. They also have chrome tips, which is interesting. You almost will never see chrome tips on these small screwdrivers. Now let's go ahead and take a final look at some of the better ones. Here we are. I'm just trying to make the video a little shorter. Sorry for the cuts, which are actually pauses. We have some ones that actually came from Home Depot. We have some rigids, we have these Huskies, and we have these Husky interchangeable tip ones. Now the Huskies here, I think, are probably some of the best that you can find in any store locally for precision screwdrivers. And one of the reasons is because they have solid aluminum handles, and they're definitely a lot more robust and heavy duty than either of these more traditional style, and obviously these really lightweight plastic ones. I mean, this whole set weighs hardly anything, and we could do a little drop demonstration to actually demonstrate. See, here's some cheap ones. Here's the Mark I's, and these probably weigh 30% more than the cheap ones, even though being almost an identical set. And you can see how much louder those drop. These Huskies probably weigh another 30% heavier than those. And if we drop these, you can see the whole table shakes. And that's what's really surprising, is these are billet aluminum handles, and I really kind of like their design a lot. Let's take a close look at the large Phillips here, if we can get it out. They do hold snap in pretty tightly in the case, but that is a solid aluminum shank that the screwdriver bit is pressed into, and it really adds quite a bit of weight. It's surprising. As a matter of fact, if we take this Mark I, which is the premium grade, we can see that this Husky is quite a bit shorter And on the larger the Phillips, it is a slightly smaller size or diameter. We can see that. But this little driver still weighs more than this larger Mark I, and it has a lot to do with the additional diameter that's here. And I really do appreciate that diameter because you get a little bit better grip. I kind of like this flat section because you can grasp it pretty easily. And then it's really smooth and easy to use, and I really like the nice satin finish that's on these. And they are a little bit more budget. One of the other differences is such as one of these sets, each driver will be made for, each handle is custom for each driver length, where Husky does save a little bit of money where they use the small slot and Phillips. They use the same size handles, you can see. So they're only making so many size handles and then putting different bits into them, which makes sense. These things were kind of expensive. I think they're like $10 or even $15. But they're pretty worth it. As far as a nice weighty screwdriver, sold at a place where you can easily warranty it, I would definitely recommend them, especially for the solid feel that they have. Now, as far as the interchangeable bit driver, this is also from the Home Depot. I generally don't recommend these because they try to make them fit in such a price point that the tips really aren't very high quality. If we take a look, say at this, what is this? That is a, come on, 2.5 millimeter hex. You can see that the machining on that hex is just horrid. As I have also found that they're actually quite soft, and many of these smaller Phillips down here, I've actually had the Phillips bit strip out, not the screw, which really surprised me. So, and I'll have to not recommend these. I actually have some little Harbor Freight Warrior tips, and they seem to actually hold up a lot better than the Huskies, which is a not that common of an occurrence, to tell you the truth. Also, the little driver is just a little bit oversized. You have to use this long stem, which allows you to adjust it in and out, which is kind of a good idea, but the whole thing is like 1/8 inch or 3/16 of an inch. Actually, I'm incorrect. This doesn't actually slide in and out of the handle. I was thinking of a different version. So it does come with a long extension, but the bits are still just a little bit funky and a little bit soft. And generally speaking, you can find lots of tiny tips in various other sets that are a bit cheaper than this and will hold up better. So that's why I don't generally recommend these kind of precision interchangeable tip ones, because they end up being a lot of money for ones that work, and if they're cheaper like this, they're just not going to be as strong as just these Huskies right next to them. Now, for a bit more money, you can get these rigids. And this is kind of an eclectic collection of rigids. I believe they still sell them at Home Depot, and when I bought these, they were some of the best I had seen. Really nice, professional grade, long stem, a nice wide handle, a really smooth, wide and smooth running twist end. And these were just great, ergonomically and otherwise. Now these, I've actually had to replace a few of them over the years, and the warranty did cover it. I actually brought in, with a broken flat and a broken, or in a badly stripped out Phillips, and didn't think they'd warranty them, but they did. And to tell you the truth, I didn't go in the Home Depot. Since they were so small, I just put them in an envelope and mailed them to Rigid's Warranty Center, and they just sent me new screwdrivers. So I will say that to you. I guess there's still something to be said by just sending a tool to the manufacturer themselves. Many times they'll just deal with it, wherever the retail place you bought it at, they won't. I also need to mention that, and I completely forgot during a lot of my power tool reviews, is that with power tools like DeWalt, if you have a warranty issue and it's out of warranty, you can send in your power tool, and for a maximum of half the original cost, they'll just send you a new tool. So if you bought a $300 cordless rotary hammer and broke it, if you send it into them for a maximum of $150, they'll deal with it. And I've read a lot of posts and actually have experience myself where they have just sent what looked like a brand new tool that had an R stamped in it for refurbished. So enough of that tangent. One thing I will mention is when I bought these, probably the original set 15 years ago, and then I have replaced a couple and a few years apart, that the quality has gone down a little bit. And that's evidence from this one where you can see, and I think you can see on the camera, the orange color on the left is a bit different from the rest of these. And what that is this is an American made, and it's a P series. So that was part of the original set that I had purchased. And then the first time I had to replace these two small ones, and these have really nice heat treated tips. They really have lasted a real long time. I got these Q series American made ones, and they had slightly different colored handles, and they had slightly larger seams on the molding. That's what I did notice. If we look at this one, the seam is almost undetectable, but this one you can actually feel, you can see little flakes of plastic. So they're already just slightly going down in quality. Now the large flathead and the large Phillips I replaced about 3 years ago, and they sent me back some Q series that did not have USA printed on them. So they have been cheapifying these, although I believe these Taiwanese made ones are still pretty good and well worth the price. It's just hard to find nice professional grade precision screwdrivers locally. And the Ridgeids really, I can attest, have really held up over the years and have been pretty kind to the warranty, especially if you just ship it to the factory. So anyway, that was kind of the end of this rambling review about precision screwdrivers. Until the next video, I really appreciate everybody watching, and please subscribe. Catus Maximus out.